Hey YouTube family, it's your girl Jazzy, getting jazzy with jazz. And if y'all want to have a good time, YouTube family, just like I do, come on over. And I need y'all to go ahead and do this for me, like, comment, and subscribe. And then we going to get the party started. Good Friday morning, my YouTube family. We are here to do Housewives of Atlanta, episode 16. Game over, and this is the finale. It was a doozy. So Portia and Lauren, they visit, Phaedra, and they find out that, well, Lauren says that Lundy transitioning while on the phone. And Angela meet with her therapist, and she said her and Charles go to the same therapist. And then we can move past it. And then Shamia invites the ladies to her event. And then Britt shows up and hugs the ladies, except for Kelly. And I said, so we still doing this, Britt? I said, okay, we gonna move on from you. How about that? And Shamia did good. She really did good. Her singing was on point. She just did good. And she said that, and I can agree, she said that her first song was a little off and she just had to get into the groove. But when she got into the groove with the first song, then she was good from there. My wig is a little crooked, y'all. And she was good from there. And then she started singing. And I said, Shamia has a beautiful, beautiful voice. And all the ladies congratulated her and all that. And then they all said that she did a good job. And then, Kelly tried to start arguing with her. And then she bringing up that old stuff. How when she said, well, when me, you, and Kelly were all talking and we were drinking, and then you said that Portia was not a good friend. You showed me those text messages. You showed me all those text messages. I'm like, girl, okay. And then, when she comes back, I forgot to tell y'all, my friend Walter George, Atlanta's finest. I do know him personally. And he did the do. He was styling and profiling. He was styling the hell out of Shamia's hair. And then I said, that's a remarkable job done. And I'm so proud of my friend. And he got a little bit of camera time. And he was representing I guess, Memphis. And he lives in Atlanta now. So if y'all ever go to Atlanta, then go ahead and ask for Walter George. And then he'll style you up. He'll style you up because he used to style me when he was still here. I'm a little sad that he gone. I'm very sad that he gone because I have to do wigs now. But Shamia's husband, he brings her a set of beautiful flowers. And everybody that was saying that Shamia's husband don't be present, I ain't never said it because I know that Gerald always be present and he don't always just be in the phone. Hint, hint, hint. He do show up for his wife when he is available, and he is able to show up for his wife, and that was a big moment. So kudos to Shamia and Gerald. I love it. And then her baby did introduce her, forgot to tell y'all, and Miss Pat. With Miss Pat, Miss Pat. I watched Miss Pat. I used to watch the Miss Pat show. She's actually funny. And she introduces her mom. And I said, oh, she's so cute. Her kids are beautiful. And then going back, Shamia and Britt, I mean, she just want to argue with Shamia. And then she said, well, she's going to tell her that she is a liar and everything that she's saying, that is not true. And then it flashed back to Britt talking to Portia about the text messages and all this stuff. And I said, so she bringing up that old stuff. And then she started insulting Shamia, and she bringing up her child and all this stuff and talking about I was very, very sad for you. And while you were in Grenada, and then when you show up at Miami, then you're taking shots. I'm like, girl, that's irrelevant to everything in this argument. Move on. I said, she just do the most. And then it quickly runs to Kelly, waking her daughters up, saying, wakey, wakey, twinsies. It's time to play. So cute, so cute, so cute. And then we walk to a new scene. And then Drew stylist talking about how Ralph needs to ask. She talking to her stylist, and she talking about how Ralph needs to ask for permission to come up, and he asked her he come up and have a conversation with her. We're gonna move on past that. And then so we moving on from there. I'm not about to talking about studying what Drew talking about or nothing like that. And Ralph and Drew, they finally talk about how she just asked, how did we get here? Girl, drink my coffee. Oh, and they sing. It's so boring. Asking how we got there and blah, 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 blah. And she said pretty much that he said that, well, court order, I can't do this, I can't do that, this, that. I'm like, boy, shut up. Shut up. Because everybody know if you going through court order, I went through court order with the child support stuff. Anytime it's a child involved, I know I wasn't married, but it's the same thing. Anytime it's a child involved, you can always it's always up to the sole parent, which is Drew. And she can always get him permission. And that's what she said. She can get him permission. And she said she's not trying to keep him away from the kids. Point period, point blank. We offer her scene. And then Phaedra is at Chateau Elan Winery and Resort. And then with her boyfriend, with his tall self. And Sheshe, he's 32 years old, and the production is shady. And then they've been dating, she said, for a little over 4 months, and I'm like, good. And then once they walk through the winery, and then they get to their location, then they are building charcuterie boards. Wine boards. So and then she getting fed the strawberries and the fruit, and then they going to Angela's event together. And I said, that's what we do. That's what we do. And then Brett, mom, is in the home, and Brett's in the kitchen, and then Brett says that she needs everyone involved in her home, including her in-laws. So she just wanted everybody to come to her house and just share a little moment. And everybody came. We can move off of that. It wasn't nothing important happening. And then Charles Oakley Foundation. And it's been around since 2017. And it's a fundraising goal of $50,000. And then Drew is late as usual. And Angela wants to know why she is being targeted. And then she says that and rightfully so, it was some ghetto going on up in there. And then Mark is still talking about that, he apologizing. So nobody want to hear this shit, because I'm like, Charles Oakley, he said what he said, and then he pretty much gonna leave, and he gonna say he ain't gonna be disrespectful, which I understand. He's talking about an envelope was dropped to him by someone at the Phipps Plaza in an envelope. And he says that the man name is Junebug. I'm like, what? Junebug. That's so typical of a name. He just making stuff up. And then he panned and said, because Angela said, well, who is behind, who hired Junebug? And then he gonna point, he said, Phaedra. I said, do I believe that? No, I believe he was just fishing for something. And of course, Angela believed it. And then Phaedra called her with it and said that Phaedra called her with it. Angela go to the confessional saying that she already knew and Phaedra already knew because she had already called her with the tea. I said, I'm about to say you lying too, Angela. I'm about to say you lying now. And then Phaedra said, you researched but failed to say that your house is in foreclosure. And then I'm just saying that Angela is reaching. Then Angela said, she pop up, well, I'm going to tell y'all anything that y'all want to know. I'll tell y'all that my house is in foreclosure. I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, have mercy. And, you know, Shamia, she tells, because, you know, it ain't over. Because Kelly going to sit up there and pipe up at Shamia and say, And I said, well, y'all just stop it. Just stop it. Please, just stop it. And then Shamia pretty much tell Brittany. If I was calling her Kelly, I always meant Britt. And then she said, well, you a liar. And it's been proven that you're a liar. I mean, and she said, it's time for me to go because I don't want to be her ass. And then she said, oh, you're threatening me? She said, you threatening weapons, bitch. And I said, sure do. And then Phaedra thanked by Angela for the introduction to the group. So I'm finna run down everything. You know, it pan to after. And so Kelly she got divorced after 3 years in September 2024 and is preparing to open doors to a new Sandy Springs location for Nana's Chicken and Waffles in summer 2025. And then Shamia tells Britt that she wanna be and she's opening a new insurance agency. And then she get up and she start leaving. She said, I don't have time for this ghetto bullshit. I don't have time for these ghetto bullshit. I'm like, girl, shut up and go on. And Drew's album, I Did This For Me, was released March 2025, and Ralph is still in the basement and still not divorced, and they not gonna get divorced. We know this was a storyline, right? I would hope so. And Shamia by Shiloh, she said Shiloh continues to progress and it's good things. And then she has a new surrogate and hopes to welcome a new son soon. And her CD, it is good. I listened to the CD and I listened to her song too. Never Had was released in March 2025. And then Phaedra thanked, of course, by Angela for introducing her to the group. And her boys are still thriving. Aiden and the president still thriving and doing big things. And then Shay is still satisfied in his sweet tooth. I know about a sweet tooth because this coffee is a little sweet. I know about it. And then Angela sold 3 houses, but 2 were lost. And then she is ready to promote her new fan line, Fangy. I would find them fans because I need a new fan. I need a fan. And then Portia got the house. So it used to be Portia and Simon's home, but of course she got the house. And then she was on the treadmill working out. And then her Pilar is 6 years old, and she is just as happy as she want to be in the house. So cute. She looks just like Dennis. And then her mom comes to sip some tea and talking and hoping that, the judge says everything is split and she can just keep the house with no hands down. And then it shows that Simon is detained while entering the country in March 2025 and leaving the divorce on ICE, ICE. And that was the end of the episode. It was pretty interesting. It was kind of comical at the most part. So that was Housewives of Atlanta, episode 16, season 16, sweet 16, episode 16, the finale, game over. And this game is about to be over. Bye, YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded for y'all. Bye. And then she does honor someone at the Charles Barkley's Foundation. Oakley. I said Charles Barkley's. It don't matter. Charles Oakley. And then, the lady's name, I did tell y'all, Erica Augustine is the next honoree. And Portia is honored by, she's honored by Angela, and also gives an honor to her cousin Lundy. Portia does, rightfully so. And then Portia cries and is comforted by the ladies, which I understand. It's fresh and it's new, and she was so close to her cousin, so I definitely understand. And then Drew shows up with Marcus and is told to leave by Charles, and then it's set off from there, because the whole thing about it is he shows up and then Angela is behind him showing up. And you know, Charles, you remember Charles Oakley, and he said pretty much that he gotta leave, he gotta get up out of there, because he said he don't have time for this shit. And I'm like, exactly. And then he point his finger at that man, and he said, you lucky. You lucky. Because he wanted him to leave, because it's just BS after BS. And then Angela was saying, just trust me, just trust me, just let him talk, just let him talk. And then Charles just said, I'm out, I'm out. He said, I don't have time for this shit. And I said, rightfully so. And then he said that he too old for this shit too. And I'm like, rightfully so, because don't nobody want to be in no damn drama like that. And that's a good foundation. He been doing the foundation for 17 years. And you think that somebody want to have a load of BS coming to his darn porch? And I'm like, Angela, you thought that was a good idea? I said, okay, girl. I like you, Angela, but And then they paying to the ladies, and then, you know, he had to get out because, you know, Marcus came over there talking that stuff to the ladies, and then, you know, he blamed Phaedra. And then he's sitting up there talking about it was a letter that was dropped to him in Phipps Plaza. And of course, Marcus had apologized to Charles, and he said he ain't got nothing to say to him. And he said, again, he lucky that, and I know what he was trying to say, he lucky that he won't be his. Because if y'all know Charles Oakley, I remember him from the basketball, and he did not play no games, because he said that he feel like he was talking to both Angela and then Marcus, and he said that he feel like that he being disrespected. And I said, rightfully so, you are being disrespectful, and that is disrespectful and disrespected. He said he feel disrespected. I can second him on that, and that is disrespectful to bring that man there to start some mess. And then Marcus said, well, I apologize to you. And I'm like, don't nobody want to hear that shit? Like, seriously, for real, for real, for real. And then, oh, but Kelly's publicist looking like, ooh. He was like my girl Jasmine Crockett, the ghetto. They was turning it into a ghetto at a foundation for good causes and for good reasons. And I'm like, but you gotta watch the people that be up in there, because it's always going. And YouTube, that was the video, and what I want y'all to do is like, comment, and subscribe. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, YouTube family.